Good evening and welcome to another episode of Law and Order. Today we're going to talk about something very interesting a lot of people have been talking about over the last few weeks, which is vehicular traffic and the law that's changed and what's in store for everyone out there. And to do so, we have with us DRG Ajit Rohana, who is the head of Legal Discipline and Conduct, who's just completed a doctorate in law and criminal justice. So we got to congratulate you on that, sir, and welcome on the show. First of all, let's talk about vehicular traffic and the numbers that's here in Sri Lanka. An estimated 8 million vehicles are available, of which 5 million are motorbikes and about another 1.5 million three-wheelers. Is that the reason that we have all of these issues on the road?
Well, this is a very timely program initially at the very outset, I can say, and I would like to express my sincere appreciations to Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, especially the Channel I, for giving this opportunity. As you mentioned, so what are the main causes for this traffic congestion and traffic accidents? The vehicle population has been rapidly increased, as you mentioned. The Motor Traffic Act was introduced by our legislature in 1951. It means approximately 70 years ago. So at that time, we had only 80,000 vehicles in the country, 80,000 registered vehicles were in the country at that time, but as of today the number has been increased up to 81 million. So on one hand, we can say the rapid increase of this vehicle population, it is one of the problems for this traffic congestion. But on the other hand, that is not the real problem. The main problem is the behavior and conduct of the indisciplined drivers, and the second main reason is the infrastructure. So according to the increase of the vehicle population, infrastructure has not been developed. So therefore, traffic congestion, it has been increased, and the behavior and conduct of the drivers.
You mentioned, sir, with regards to what we are experiencing right now, we have seen a few changes in Colombo and Kandy, probably the two worst cities when it comes to traffic congestion during peak hours of the day.
Yeah.
But we have seen one-way roads in many areas in Colombo over the last 5-6 years, and latterly we have seen the lane law being introduced. And what kind of impact has that had on vehicular traffic in Colombo?
Yes, because within very limited resources, so those actions are the required actions that we could take. One-way system is it is somewhat reasonable, and apart from that, the required actions that we can take. And in addition to that, this lane discipline system is also good, but the problem is, as you all know, in our country, I mean in comparison to other countries, we have not developed that particular lane system throughout the city. Now, for instance, so if you are going to implement that lane law in the country, the extreme left lane should be given to the buses, the passenger buses or the passenger vehicles. Other two lanes should be given to other vehicles, but the extreme right lane should be given to the vehicles that are going to overtake. But the problem is in our country is from Polduwa junction to Nelumpokuna junction. So we have 3 lanes on the left side and on the right side, but we can again implement this system from Gold Road from Mount Lavinia to Colombo, but other areas. So, other roads in the country, especially even in the Colombo city, do not have that particular capacity, that particular lane system. So, therefore, if you are going to implement that system, again a bottleneck is created. Here we have 3 lanes, and again that road is going towards to another 2-lane road. Then again, then there is a traffic congestion. I mean, being I was the DIG traffic for a period of 1.5 years, and apart from that, being a police officer, I mean having experience with 3 decades. So, on one hand we need to expand this infrastructure facilities. I mean, if we take examples from the modern developed countries, they have restricted vehicles that are coming to enter into the city. I mean the private vehicles, generally the public transport services, the vehicles, they can come without any restriction, but other vehicles have been restricted. Now, if we take the city of London, city of Melbourne, Paris, so if a private vehicle is entering into the city limit within, I mean during the period of peak hours, they have to pay additional money. Now, I know properly very well the system that is implemented in London, because we have studied that system, and if a private vehicle enters the city from 7 to 7, I mean morning 7 to evening 7, that particular vehicle should pay £12 per an hour, £12 per an hour. So, 12 into 12, it means you enter hours. It means it's very big money, very big money. Then $144, 144 pounds. So, it's very big money. So, the people, they are reluctant to come to the city in their private vehicles. And apart from that, they have been discouraged to enter into the city. So, what is the remedy that they have adopted? The remedy is they have developed public transportation. So, every 5 minutes time there is a train, there is a city train, it is moved, and the bus service is there. So, the general public, so they are compelled to use public transportation. So, therefore, the number of vehicle that enters the city has been limited. So, this type of systems we are in the process of developing the systems in the country. So, this type of system should be adopted and developed, because as you all know, in 2-3 days time, in 2 years time, 3 years time, we cannot expand all these roads, overhead bridges and all these things. So, it takes time. So, at least if we are able to develop this public transport system, so it will be a good remedy in order to curtail traffic congestion.
And so, you mentioned about indiscipline. This is something we see very rampant, especially with you mentioned public transport drivers, the trishaw drivers and things of that sort, where they have absolutely very little respect for what the laws are and how things are done and all of that. So, what do we do? Because we have seen many an instance where the law enforcement has taken steps to try and educate them, not just to penalize them or for traffic offences, but there have been other seminars that has been held over the last few years. Has there been any success out of that?
So, I can say we have been practicing the systems, the methodologies, the practices, as you mentioned, for years and years, decades and decades, but still we are not eliminate, even we are not curtail the acts or the conducts of indisciplined drivers. Therefore, we have adopted a system that has been adopted by developed countries a couple of years back. So, that system has already been adopted into our legal system. An amendment was brought to the principal enactment of the Motor Traffic Act in 2009, and 2009 amendment has introduced a system called demerit mark system. Demerit mark system, and that law has been re-amended in 2017 and 2019. Those acts introduce very, how can I say, modern traffic rules and regulations, the best practices adopted by developed countries. But the problem is this. So, demerit mark system means we need to have electronic driving license, an electronic driving license. So, the police officers, the cops who are on the road, they should have a small instrument with them, and the police, the judiciary and the Motor Traffic Commissioners Department, we need to have a link electronically, I mean through the internet. So, let us say now we have 8 million driving license holders in the country. So, it does not matter, irrelevant of the number. So, let us say if I check you at Boralla Cemetery Junction, okay, so I obtain your license, then thereafter if I insert your license into the system, small gadget, so it says your name, your birthday, your national ID number, the date of issue of the driving license. So, what is the date of expiration date, everything, and apart from that, if you have committed any offence under the Motor Traffic Act, so it is also there. On the 9th of February 2020, so you have cut the line. So, therefore, you have been fined 20,000 rupees, and again on the 20th of April, you have gone against the red light. So, therefore, again you have been fined 5,000 rupees. So, all the history is there. Now, what is this demerit mark system? It is, if you have obtained 22 demerit marks within a period of 1 year, your driving license is automatically cancelled. It means, so you can keep your driving license, but once it is inspected by a police officer or an employee of Motor Traffic Commissioners Department by using that particular instrument, so it says it is an invalid or suspended license. So, therefore, you cannot drive. Then this system has been adopted in many countries. So, this is the easiest way to discipline drivers. So, therefore, now let us say if you are using your driving license, what happens? So, you need to pay to a driver. So, you need to hire a driver for a period of 1 year, then again another burden. Then after that, in the evening, if you, once you reach home, let us say driver has gone, then again your wife asking you to go to the supermarket, then you cannot go. So, therefore, if we are able to implement this system, we can discipline all these drivers. The infrastructure has been developed, the legal system has been developed, but still we are in the process of developing infrastructure. So, that is the problem we are having. So, we believe that we are conducting several conferences meeting these days. So, we would be able to establish this particular system very soon. Then the drivers would be disciplined, and this is the best tool in order to use to discipline drivers.
And taking note from what you just mentioned, sir, you mentioned about valid driving licenses. Something a lot of people question most of the time with regards to trishaw drivers, because some of the numbers, statistics say that at times 75 to 80% of these trishaw drivers do not have a valid driving license. What do we do to curb this phenomenon?
Yes, so this is one of the main problems that we are facing in the country in respect of traffic system at the moment, especially the motorcycle riders and three-wheeler drivers. So, they are lacking of these basic qualifications. So, but our country, we were able to increase fines up to 25,000 with various type of struggles and many protest campaigns. So, however, and according to our law, there are 7 offences in the law, in the traffic law. If somebody has committed that offence, so they could be imposed punishment with a fine of 25,000 rupees or above. So, so one of them is this driving license. So, if a person drives a vehicle without a driving license or invalid driving license, or if an owner of the vehicle allows another person to drive his vehicle without a driving license or invalid driving license, that particular person is also liable. So, the driver is liable for driving without a license or expired driving license, and apart from that, the owner of that vehicle is also liable for a fine. So, that is the law in the country. We are implementing that law, as you mentioned, to curb that type of incidents, especially three-wheeler drivers, the motorcycle riders. They think that they can drive in remote areas without license. And apart from that, so some people has a I mean, they are having a misconception in their mind that if we are going to the paddy field or the church or the temple or the mosque, we don't need license, because that is within the village limit. So, therefore, the remote area. So, they have that misconception in their mind. So, that is absolutely wrong. So, if you don't have a driving license means, so you don't have that particular qualification, the competency. So, therefore, wherever, irrespective of the road, irrespective of the place, so if you have driven a license, so you have committed an offence on one hand. But the other main issue is, so if you are not competent, so if you don't have that qualification, so if you drive a license, so it means that, so that is a danger to everyone using the road. So, some person's life could be lost, a person could be killed, injured critically. So, who are who get the responsibility? So, therefore, especially we conduct several operations, traffic operations, in order to apprehend this type of drivers. And in addition to that, we, as you mentioned, we conduct special classes for drivers and indisciplined drivers in order to streamline the system. And on the other hand, I would like to add something. In the country, if you want to get your driving license, let us say you are a 19-year-old boy, so you need to get your driving license. So, there are generally, so two systems, there are two systems. So, number one, if you are able to get, I mean yourself with somebody a training, yes, you can get that training and after that you can apply, or otherwise you can go to a registered driving school. So, there are schools, learners, shops and all these things. But when you are going to select that type of a place, so every time think twice, search it, whether that particular place is a registered place. So, there are third party owners, there are third party places also. So, when you, I mean if you go there, so sometimes they are talking to you in a very nice way and all these things, but finally sometimes that particular place is not a registered place. Then when you are going to obtain your driving license, so you are facing with I mean plenty of problems. So, therefore, the customers should need to think of that.
Right. From that, moving on, so something a lot of people in Colombo talk about is, since we are getting to the last few minutes on the show, during peak hours and in main cities in Colombo, traffic lights are switched off and police personnel are controlling traffic. What is the reason behind it, and is it the best way out for us to control traffic?
It is not the best way, I would say, but the problem is this, in our country, our traffic light system, so in many places, so we have that system, it is maintained by the RDA or the Colombo CMC, especially in the Colombo city. You know, all these roads are maintained by either RDA or the local government authority. So, we have central RDA, means the Road Development Authority, provincial RDA, provincial Road Development Authority, and the local government authorities. The local government authorities such as the Colombo Municipal Council, the municipal councils, urban councils and Pradeshiya Sabhas. So, they maintain these roads. So, police, we do not have any authority, any ownership in order to maintain those roads. So, but we can make suggestions. Now, according to our this signal light system, it is a fixed, it is having a fixed time duration. Now, let us say 15 seconds towards Borella, 30 seconds towards Narahempita. So, like that. So, then it is off, again on. So, that particular system is circulated. But developed countries, so they have system, so there are cameras. So, that cameras identify the vehicle flow that is coming towards Borella, that is coming towards Narahempita. So, it does not matter if the flow is very low, so it does not take 30 minutes. So, it does not take 30 seconds. And in 10 seconds, so that the camera automatically, the system allows other way vehicles to move, but we do not have that system. That fixed system is there. So, therefore, sometimes the vehicles are there, sometimes vehicle flow is very high or very low in 30 seconds. So, then red light coming, again green light coming, but we need that system. I think so, definitely we our RDA, the Road Development Authority and other respective organizations, so they are having several agreements with various countries and studies also have been conducted. So, therefore, that particular system is the best one, but our system is I can say, but it is an outdated system according to the necessity of today's requirement. So, therefore, that is why the police officers sometimes they switched off the lights, because now let us say the police officer, now here we are at Rupavahini Corporation. So, in front of this Rupavahini Corporation there is a junction. So, the vehicles are going towards Boralla Kanatta roundabout, Cemetery roundabout. The other vehicles are going towards Tumulla junction. Then the other vehicles are going towards that road is towards Narayanpita, and other vehicles are going towards Independence Square. This is the roundabout. Now, let us say according to that signal system, 30 seconds has been given to vehicles that are being moved towards Independence Square. But in the morning it is not enough. It is not enough. The vehicle flow is very high. So, therefore, that police officer, the police officer who is at the junction, so he switched off the light and manually he controls the traffic flow. So, that is the situation. So, therefore, the police, we are also reluctant to do it, but that is the only option we are doing in good faith in order to curtail the traffic congestion.
All right, thank you very much, sir. I think we have had a very fruitful discussion with regards to vehicular traffic in Colombo especially, and in suburbs as well. Kandy is another city that has had a lot of issues with traffic. We got to thank DIG Ajit Rowan for being with us and sharing your expertise. So hopefully going forward, we'll have a better system, and maybe RDA would implement something better going forward, and vehicular traffic will be controlled somewhat. Until next time on another episode of Law and Order, it's bye-bye and good night from me.